All right, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? How is it going? I am Is There No One Else? And in today's video, I wanted to talk to you guys about something I've been thinking about for the last couple of days. I'll preface this by saying I was out and about this last weekend. It's been nice out. I was out for a walk, and I was listening to different podcasts and live streams, and I got to the May live stream, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to give it another listen, because you get drawn. I don't know if you guys feel this way, but you see all the flashing lights, you see all the cool skills and abilities, and sometimes you miss little interesting snippets from the design team as far as what they're doing. And that was absolutely me. I heard something interesting about their rock, paper, scissors dynamics this weekend, and it got me thinking more and more about it, and to a point to where I want to talk to you guys about what I learned in this latest live stream about it. So that's what this video is going to be. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about Ashes of Creation's design and around balance, and why I think it's just a lot better than other games that I have played in the past. So with that being said, let's dive into it. Now, for those of you guys that don't know, before I decided to cover Ashes of Creation on my channel, I was big into ESO PvP, Elder Scrolls Online PvP. Don't judge me too early. I want to explain where I'm coming from on this. Please don't shut off the video right now. It's okay. No, I'm just kidding. But regardless, I really like MMORPG PvP when it's done well. And the reason that is before I played a lot of MMORPGs, I played a lot of first-person shooters. I was big into Call of Duty, Gears of War. I would just bounce from whatever the latest first-person shooter was. I really enjoyed them. But they never really kept my attention for a long period of time because there wasn't as much build balance. Like, you just ran a weapon, you ran different loadouts, whatever, and you would go about your day. There weren't many choices, and so there was only so much you could play with a specific weapon on a specific map before you got bored, and then you buy the next game and you move on. I found MMORPG PvP to keep my attention longer, because when you have different classes with different power fantasies that have different play styles, it just keeps the replayability higher. Though when you can make a different build competitive, when you can run range, when you can run magica or stamina based or physical based, like you can run all these different play styles, it means that you just get more and more hours out of a game. I have gotten way more enjoyment out of my years of playing ESO than I ever did playing like 6 months of Halo or 6 months of Call of Duty or whatever. And so I'm on that next kick in the MMORPG space. And so I've always been curious about what Ashes of Creation is going to do with their rock, paper, scissors design. Now, I've done a lot of videos on my channel discussing balance in ESO. The goal in that game for my channel was to always try to bring other classes up to some of the strongest that are in the game at the time. It's always more fun for me when you go into PvP and you encounter a bunch of different playstyles. Like, you encounter somebody running something unique that's effective. You can die from a bunch of different things, and it's way more fun than when balance is so out of whack that literally half the players in the game are running the exact same build with the exact same sets on the exact same class. That's not exciting. When you have 10 classes, or when you have 12 classes, or however many you have, you don't want it to get funneled down to one or two. That takes away from the thing that makes MMORPG PvP so good, in my opinion. And so when I say all that, how Ashes approaches their balance is going to be very interesting to me. You don't want to. They have 64 classes. They have 8 different archetypes combined with 8 different archetypes to create these 64 classes. You want them to be able to stand out on their own. And Steven talked a little bit more about balance and about design choices in the May live stream, and he produced a few interesting snippets. And so I wanted to play that for you guys, and then we're going to riff off of it and discuss it afterwards. So here you go.
And today we have Hilga Lord 7252 with the question, as we start to see more talent trees and abilities, I start wondering how AOC will handle unique playstyles and maybe different builds. For example, will we see unique items and or enchantments with support, which support a health instead of mana as a resource build, and with classes skill tree or class skill trees, augments, and weapon talent trees, won't there be too many playstyles to balance? So it's really kind of a question, will there be a variety? And then the other part of it is,
how do you balance it?
How do you balance that much? Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, so will there be a variety? Yes, there will be many varieties. You know, the approach with regards to kind of player being able to customize how their archetype and how their weapon and choices and gear choices interact with the broader ecosystem of other players and the encounter designs, right? Is to provide maximum flexibility for the types of decisions you can make as a player. Those are the types of scenarios I find most intriguing. From a balance perspective, where historically what we've talked about is we're not trying to balance everything. That is not the goal. This is definitely not a goal for it to be balanced in a 1v1 scenario. Our balance is definitely more focused around group composition. And when we say group composition, what we mean is having present a number of the archetypes, right? And those archetypes aren't going to stand on equal footing with each other. There is going to be a rock, paper, scissors design when it comes to innate advantages that certain archetypes have over each other. And giving or affording the customization options lets you flirt a bit with where your rock, paper, scissor lines live, right? Perhaps you are a little bit better against the rock, as a scissor would normally be. And that's because you've made certain selections in either your archetype skill tree, your passives, your weapon selection, your gear choices, right? Those are all pieces of a puzzle that interact with the overarching kind of balance choices between these different rock, paper, scissors designs. So, I think modern MMO gameplay has moved away from that. They want everyone to harness the same power from a 1v1 perspective. And I don't find that interesting. I don't find that MMO-like. I think that it has its place, but I think that it is a more compelling scenario to afford the player a bit more options when it comes to customizing their space within the world from a Trinity perspective, and having some innate built-in rock, paper, scissors design.
So this really got me thinking. I knew already that archetypes were going to have rock, paper, scissors dynamics. I knew that no matter their goal is, hypothetically, if clerics are really powerful and they're really powerful scissors, something like a rock, a fighter, will come in and they'll be able to hard counter them. I knew that this existed. I didn't know that the augments and skill trees of different weapons, skill lines, and everything could also strengthen these dynamics, or you could shore up your weaknesses. And so in this example that I'm talking about is, let's say as a cleric, you are very, very strong versus tanks. I don't know what it is, guys. We're just going to say versus tanks. Let's say you hard counter tanks in a very nasty way. You could either choose to supplement strengths to hard counter tanks more, or you could shore up your weaknesses and say, hey, yeah, fighters are just wrecking my livelihood right now. I can't stay alive when I run across a fighter. I'm going to shore up my weaknesses. I'll still be hard countered by a fighter, but less so. And so it creates design choices for your class, and not just for your class, it creates design choices for your group. Ashes of Creation is going to be a group-based MMORPG where your individual choices can supplement or fill out what your entire team choices are. So if you make the wrong choices as a cleric in a group-based situation and you get taken out immediately by other players on the other team that hard counter you, your group's no longer as effective. And so making choices to facilitate strengths and weaknesses in a group is super interesting. And so because of this design, I don't think you're going to see too many different groups running around with all clerics or all fighters or all rogues or anything like that, because they can get hard countered. And when they get hard countered, it could get really ugly. And so all this stuff I already knew, but what I didn't know, like I said, was the weapon and skill type stuff. And it got me thinking more and more about their balance and how they're going to balance things in the game. And what I realized is they really don't have to. The players are going to take care of it themselves. As long as the rock, paper, scissors design exists, as long as there are hard counters and there are proper strengths and weaknesses that you have to build into or protect yourself against, the players will decide how they create this balance in the game through their own choices through all these different skill trees. And I think that is way more interesting because, let's say, hypothetically, there is a huge YouTuber out there, 200,000 plus subscribers, and he posts a video with a two-shot rogue, a rogue that two-shots everything in the game, right? And it looks really fun. It looks really cool. It looks really powerful. And you know for a fact this guy has a lot of influence in players in the game, and they're going to go out and run that 2-shot rogue. Well, in other games in the past, everybody in the game would be running the 2-shot rogue. You would see it everywhere. You'd be like, oh my god, this is so fucking annoying. This is the only build that's out there because it's so powerful. Well, in Ashes, your choices are, yeah, you could run the 2-shot rogue if you want to, or you could run a few more rangers in your group, and you could say, hey, like, rangers hard counter rogues. We know that it doesn't matter how powerful the rogue is, we have this hard counter and our rangers are going to destroy it. We know that, hey, yeah, this rogue is 2-shotting our fighters, but our fighters can shore up their weaknesses and they can protect themselves against all these rogues that are going to happen, and you can protect yourself in a way to where you hard counter the rogue to where it's not going to impact your specific group. So if the entire meta and the entire server zigs, you can zag. And so you have your choices. You, instead of having the one choice of feeling like you have to play the flavor of the month, you have the choice of playing the hard counter to the flavor of the month, or building your specific group around saying, hey, yeah, we're going to see a lot more of these, so we should protect ourselves a bit more from this specific class. And so this is an interesting dynamic because the rogue will still be powerful. The rogue will still have its powerful strengths. It'll still have these potential 2-shot dynamics in this idea, but you're no longer shoehorned into running what everybody else is running. You can protect yourself in different ways through different augments. Like they've talked about, they're going to have so many different augments that you can choose from, and all these design choices that you have can protect yourself, or you can hard counter it even further of these different classes. And so you're going to see groups build themselves in a lot of different ways to protect themselves or just destroy people that decide to run this cookie cutter, whatever the YouTube meta is at the time. And I think that's super interesting. I think that's super interesting because the last thing you want to have happen is have an archetype or class nerfed so needlessly into the ground that it's no longer fun to run. You want different archetypes, you want different classes to have tools to be able to compete, to do unique things, because we're all different people. We all like different things out of the game. We all like different play styles, and having tools to compete is all we want. And so Intrepid is looking at this. They're saying, yes, you're going to have tools to compete. Some things will be strong sometimes, but we're going to give you tools to counter those things. And after thinking about it more, I agree with them. I 100% agree that this is just a way better way to go about doing it. When you play MMORPGs, this player fantasy of playing a specific class or archetype, it should exist. Classes should feel powerful. People should die in a PvP game. And so this is a way to basically put the balance into the players and say, hey, we're going to give you all these choices. We're going to give you all these different cool things. You make what you think can protect you the most. And yeah, I like it a lot. So I like it so much, I wanted to talk about it in a video. So yeah, I'm going to end this video here. If you guys have any questions or comments, please provide in the section below, and I will do my best to answer it. As always, guys, thank you for watching. Have a nice day.